Sandy. I've been with the city for about 2 years. And I am really excited about this process for developing Sandy's comprehensive plan. Our last comprehensive plan was written in 1997. It's been a while. A comprehensive plan, if you don't know, is basically just a very broad overarching vision for the next 20 to 30 years in the city. So it's really fun because you can get really creative, you can get really visionary, and really think broadly about what you want to see for the future of your city. And then also have conversations with your neighbors and come back to us with that information. Yeah, so thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you guys being here. One of the things that I'm really passionate about in planning is collaborating with residents and really finding meaningful ways to interact with residents to find out what the needs are and what the priorities are in Sandy. Thanks for kicking us off.
So we'll do a round of introductions, but I'll start. My name is Anais Mate. I'm a land use planner and also community engagement specialist. I work for 3J Consulting, and I'm part of the project team that was hired by the city of Sandy to help design and implement this public process and the update to the comprehensive plan, all those great things that you guys are going to be helping us with. So I'm really excited to be here. I love these experiences and these opportunities to talk with a lot of different folks that have various backgrounds and bring a lot of valuable perspective to these processes and makes them more transparent and more accessible. So I thank you all so much for being here. We know that you guys have other things going on in your lives. This is time out of your day, so we want to make the best use of it. I'll talk about our schedule and kind of like what we're expecting from everyone and things like that, so it won't be a surprise. But yeah, just once again, thank you so much for your time. More than anything, it's really quite generous, so we don't want that to be unappreciated. So let's go around the room and do introductions and just a quick note. So we have this agenda and we have this binder. Note on the agenda, we are going to just compress a little bit of probably the second to last item and leave some time for public comment if we have any. So about 10 minutes or so at the end of the agenda for public comment. That's kind of the only change that we're making to the agenda. To the extent that we have public comment, I think that folks can call in. It's being live streamed, so just to let you know, we're out there. That's the agenda. So I think we could do a round of introductions and maybe your name and if there's a group that you represent or just a place you work or some sort of representation that you bring to the CAC, please state that. And then I think something that'll be fun if you just shared with the group something you really love about Sandy or about this community. So I'm looking at you, but why don't we start with you?
Sure. Well, my name is Shannon. I've been a Sandy resident for about 3 years, moved here from Arizona. I work for a Tonkin dealership, and I was actually looking for a good opportunity to volunteer in the community. So I saw this opportunity and I was a little excited about it. So I figured I would sign up.
Thanks all for applying too. That's great. So appreciate it.
My name's Annette Freetag, and I've lived in Gresham for the last 20 odd years, and my husband and I actually just moved out here this last July, just right before the fire, so we could unpack and repack and come back. So we are kind of still in the process of getting plugged in. So I've been totally looking at all those emails you guys are sending out. This was a great opportunity to learn more about the city, because there are definitely things that I didn't know about Sandy, even though my very first job was talking.
Wow.
So yeah, and I'm kind of giggling over here because I've actually worked with the Ford store in Gresham for the last 20 years. So apparently this is the car girl.
I was at Gresham Toyota for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm Greg, and I lost my voice, but I hopefully you can understand. I'm a 5th generation Sandy resident, so been here a while. I did leave a little bit, so I teach at the high school. I live. I'm not sure how I happened upon this committee, signing up, but I thought for a long time, I wish there was more, way to get involved with more people. And I know you guys try really hard at the city. I know you do. But I just wonder how can we create more conversation? And
You
so
guys.
Yeah.
well, that's why I thought, okay, I've been wondering this for a long time, so I better do something about it. So that's why.
Awesome. I'm Laura Smallwood on city council and I'm the liaison for this process. And so I'm pretty much just here tonight. You guys are gonna do all the talking. Thank you very much for volunteering your time to do this. It's very valuable input from all of you for the city moving forward. You get an opportunity to make some long-term decisions, which is really cool. And so, yeah, I'm just here. If you have questions, fire away, but otherwise I just want to hear from you guys. So well, that's it.
I'm Michael Pratt. I grew up here, lived here my whole life. As far as like what I love about it, I just love being here. You know, I grew up riding my bike up and down the Highway 26 and through all the neighborhoods and all that. You know, I take it seriously. I love this place and I want to shape it and direct it towards going in the future.
My name is Daniel Pratt. I'm his dad. Lived here for
Wait, really?
32
This is
years.
amazing. I love this.
I lived here for 32 years. I coached with the Little League and the soccer and all that stuff, basketball, and so on. And I helped a lot. I was on the board with the soccer at one point. So I took a break with daughter grew up, he grew up. So now I'm back to see how the city, you know, will expand.
Do you live in Sandy? Yeah.
I live down to 11.
My name is Amaya Peralta. I'm a Sandy High School student. I'm a junior. I got this opportunity through Shelley and an old, now graduated friend, Molly Iser. I am the manager of a Sandy equity group called Feeding for Equality. And I'm pretty much here to represent the youth. It's really the biggest thing. So, yeah.
Super cool. So my name is Tanya. I've lived in Sandy for 12 years. I was 10 years in Damascus prior to that, but originally from Arkansas. My 3 kids went to Sandy High School. I love it here. You know, it's a nice little community. I like mountains. I like hiking. I like paddling. So this is a really good place to be, and I'm very happy to be involved. My job, you know, I work in large civil projects, a lot of planning and outreach that we do. And I've never been on the other side, you know, as a contributor to that planning process. I was typically a facilitator. So I thought, you know, I saw that and I thought, you know, I should get involved. So here I am.
That's so fun. It's exciting.
I'm Jessica Clark. I grew up between Boring and Sandy, lived kind of part-time between the 2 homes. Even though I went to Barlow, I lived in technically the Barlow School District. The rest of my family graduated from Sandy, so I was the outcast of the family.
I know.
All the Sandy grads here.
No, so my husband and I actually are raising our kids out here. We live just 2 minutes away, which was really easy. Thanks for having us so close. And I'm also a business owner in Gresham. I own a business in downtown Gresham, and actually I'm on the board of the Historic Downtown Business Owners Association, which is a huge mouthful. I hate saying it, but it's a unique perspective because I get to come home here and, you know, raise my kids here, and then also see and be involved in kind of local stuff in Gresham as well. You kind of see what works and what doesn't for different size places. And yeah, I also love just being close to the mountain and having so much recreation. I tried to live in Bend for 4 years and came right back because Bend has changed too much. So, but yeah.
Thanks, Jessica.
Yeah.
Let's move to the folks that are online. I see 3 CAC members. Melissa, let's start with you.
Hello, can you hear me okay? Okay. I'm actually originally from Washington and grew up there in a very small town. Moved to Gresham at young, 22, loved it, considered it the big city. But when my wife and I were looking for a home, we wanted that small town feel again. So we moved to Sandy in 2002. So it'll be 20 years this year in May. We have an 8-year-old little boy who goes to Kelso, and I was just looking to be more involved. So I was excited when I saw the application and was excited to be here tonight.
Let's see.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me as well? Okay. Thanks for having me here tonight. My name is Shelby Butcher. I work for Habitat for Humanity in Portland. So I work in the affordable housing realm and have worked there for the last 7.5 years in programs and services. And Sandy's actually in the Habitat service area, which is really exciting. And my husband and I moved to Sandy in the last year with our daughter, bought our first house here. I love the community here. I have been looking for the right place to volunteer and plug in and share my skills of community building. And I've participated in focus groups. I've helped facilitate focus groups, but never participated on this end. So I'm really excited to be here and get to meet folks locally, because that's one thing that in the last year has been a little difficult to do. So thanks for having me here.
Shelby, let's see, Amanda.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Perfect. My name is Amanda Van Wormer. I have been in Sandy. Sorry, my dogs are going to bark at nothing. I've been in Sandy for 4 years full time, and then off and on growing up with divorced parents. My mom and that side of the family has always lived here, so I've always kind of known my way around. I work in healthcare with OHSU, but I work from home, and my husband is a Clackamas County Sheriff's deputy. So when we had the opportunity to find somewhere in Clackamas County to live, this was my first choice, just because I've always loved it here. I love mountains as well, and hiking and being outdoors. So being close to all that was top of my list.
Amanda, is there anyone else from the CAC?
Yeah, there's Omar.
Oh, Omar.
Hey, can you guys hear me? Okay, so just start off. My name is Omar. This is my third and final child, Alma, right here with me. And so my favorite thing about Sandy, I would definitely say, is the food carts, because like it definitely brings like different types of foods and cultures together. And so I am a vet. I was in the Army, and now I work on a worldwide worldwide IT team with Coinbase. So like for me, like technology and cryptocurrency are my background. So if you guys have any questions about that, I'm your guy. And I moved to Sandy in 2019 when I was finally able to buy my first house. And now I just want to give back to the community and just get to know more about it.
Excellent. Thanks, Omar. Anyone else on the line?
We have a couple staff members.
Yeah, why don't we introduce some staff members as well? Let's start with Jeff, since I can see him.
My name is Jeff Aprati. I'm the assistant to the city manager. Just happy to pitch in and assist Kelly and Shelley with all the work that's going in to manage this process, but we're just incredibly grateful to all of you. Thank you so much for your time and for volunteering to be part of this process. We're just very excited. So, thank you.
Emma, I'll let Emma go first.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm a planner with the city, and I'm mostly just here to listen.
My name is Kelly O'Neill. I'm the Development Services Director for the city, so in charge of planning and building a lot of the urban renewal programs that we do and help out with economic development and parks planning. I've been here for about 11 years with my wife and 3 children now. So when I moved to Sandy 11 years ago, I had no children, and now I have 3 children. So I'm a lot busier than I was 11 years ago.
we really enjoy living in the community, the Tickle Creek Trail, the easy access down to the Sandy River. And honestly, one of I think the biggest assets that is for Sandy is just the proximity and location to a lot of different places. So, you're close to the big city, you're only a couple hours to Central Oregon, only an hour to to Hood River, 30 minutes up to Ski. So I just think it's really centrally located, and I think that's something that will benefit Sandy going into the future. So, and like everybody else, I'm excited to start this process. So, thank you.
Great. All right, so we have some PowerPoint slides that we'll put up, and I'll run through them. And then I do want to save a lot of this time that we have just for open-ended discussion that I'll kind of help facilitate or walk you guys through. So, quick agenda. Let's see. I'm gonna have my next slide. This
Oh,
is gonna
yeah.
be funny. Kelly is in charge of the PowerPoint, so don't look at this. All right, so quick agenda. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what is this project. So we're calling it Vision Sandy 2050. It includes a community vision and an update to the city's comprehensive plan. So a little bit of information about what is a vision and what's a comprehensive plan. We'll do an overview of this project. So what does this project entail? Kind of what's the process? The timeline. We'll also go through the public involvement plan, which is actually in your binders, and just kind of talk briefly about what that is and how we're using it. We'll also then go into our community conversation kits, which is essentially the group discussion that I'm hoping to have. And then I'll also explain what the kit is, how to use it, and then you might all have a bit of homework before the next time we meet. So I will walk us through that, but that's kind of where we want to keep most of our discussion. So of course I say that, but if anybody has any questions, always feel free. And then we'll wrap up with some next steps. All right, so what is a vision? What is a comprehensive plan? So as Charlie mentioned, a comprehensive plan is essentially a land use document. Every community in Oregon, every city needs to have a comprehensive plan. And essentially it's a blueprint for the city, for the city's future. And it really directs all natural and man-made systems. Sorry, not natural, man-made systems, and also just generally services in Sandy. So it also helps kind of manage expected population and employment growth over time. And it does this through a set of goals, policies, and then, a set of goals and policies that all align with a vision statement. And so generally, these comprehensive plans, they have these 20-year planning horizons, which is, kind of big, long-range thinking. Communities generally try to update these plans every 10 to 15 years. Clearly demographics change, population forecasts change, things like that. So as kind of new information comes to light, that is often the time when doing an update to a comprehensive plan makes a lot of sense. The comprehensive plan, as a policy document, its implementation legs are essentially the city's zoning map, the city's development code. All of these things should, in theory, align with your comprehensive plan. So it sets, the goals and the policy direction for how to manage expected change, or unexpected change in the future. So it's a pretty important document. And we are going to be involving you in kind of the development of the concepts for that document. We're not starting from scratch. The city has a current comprehensive plan. So we'll definitely be very familiar with that. But we're really also going to be kind of using this group to help us with the community visioning aspect. That's really where we are able to enter discussions and conversations with community members, residents, business owners, et cetera, to really understand, what do people love about where they live? What are they worried about in the future? And what do we want to preserve or enhance for the future? So once we can really create a cohesive vision statement that we feel really reflects a lot of various voices of the community, that really helps kind of set the tone and the stage for developing goals and policies and things like that. So that is what a comprehensive plan is and what a vision is. Project overview. So a couple of just general objectives for the project. The first of which, next slide, is the first objective is to develop a community-wide vision for the future of Sandy, so what I was just talking to. The second objective is to understand key trends in how the community has changed and will continue to change. So what's happened in the last 20 years and what might we expect in the next 20 years? And then the third objective is to update the Sandy comprehensive plan to reflect that vision that we're gonna all co-create with the community and prepare for the future. So getting ahead rather than behind. I kind of like this little series of graphics, but this is kind of the process in which we pull this information together. So we start with two things. We start with a series of background reports that actually we're going to come to you next time we meet. You're going to have a lot of material. So hopefully it won't be overwhelming, but we're going to come to you with a lot of kind of background information that just sets the stage for understanding what currently exists on the ground when we're talking about all these various topic areas or themes. So that answers the question of where are we now? And then the second part to that is developing our vision for the future. So this says 2040, but it's, it's 2050, but by state law, it should be 20 years, but we're calling it maybe 2050. Yeah, exactly. We thought so too.
Exactly.
So the visioning work is kind of asks us, where do you want to go? So once we have those two pieces of information, next slide, we can start developing goals and policies. So the question there is, how do we get there? And then the last slide is that leads into the comprehensive plan. So the actual document itself includes the community vision. It can, to a certain degree, include some of the information, the background reports. Usually you'll get a lot more information to read through than what we would actually include in the actual document. And then really the substance of it are the goals and the policies. And I will reiterate the importance of this plan. A comprehensive plan really does guide public investment over the long term. City councils over the years will often refer back to it. It helps build budgets and departmental work plans, which might happen on every year, every couple of years, but generally speaking, you're using the comprehensive plan as the backbone for kind of how you want to navigate the future and how you want to set up your work plans and your budgets year after year after year. So a lot goes into it.
And I just have one thing.
Please, yeah.
And it really guides how the development code is written. And the development code is the document that then determines how actual stuff on the ground is actually built, like how apartments are built and what the standards are, or how different commercial and industrial structures are built and cited. So that's all.
Yeah. Great. The next slide, I'm so sorry, this is so tiny. So my apologies. This schedule also exists at, it's I think one of the last pages of the public involvement plan. If anybody wants to look at it in more detail there. So for folks on the line, in the public involvement plan, the last page is the project schedule, in case you can't see very well on the screen. That just kind of lays out this process for the next couple of years, for the next 2 years essentially. So we are beginning this phase of work with community visioning and goal setting. And while we're doing that, there's also a lot of background information that's going to be put together by the project team. So there's background reports. Your city is undertaking an economic opportunities analysis, which is a technical document that kind of identifies employment trends and forecasts. So you're going to be given some technical data and information to just kind of help orient you in having better conversations about what it means for the future. So that's going to be happening kind of in the background as we're doing this community visioning. All of that is going to lead to the comprehensive plan update, which that portion of the work will likely kick off in the fall. So probably in September, October. And then we are slated to hopefully adopt this comprehensive plan by next summer. So summer 2023. So we're looking at about a 1.5 year process. And this schedule, it doesn't actually indicate how many meetings we all have and kind of what the outline of your contribution is. But just to let you know, we have 8 meetings as a CAC scheduled throughout this entire 1.5 years. And I think what will likely happen, it'll shake out to about 1 meeting every 2 months or so. So we'll talk more about the logistics of that. But there will be clear kind of objectives for every meeting. So you won't be coming here wondering what we're doing Okay, and then I think the next is your project team. So there's actually a lot of people behind the scenes here. It's not just me, and it's not just Kelly. Next slide.
Oh, sorry.
There are multiple consultants that are on this project for various things. So we have Echo Northwest, they're an an economic development consultant. In the Pacific Northwest, they have an office in Portland. We are working with Beth Goodman and Jennifer Cannon. They are leading the work of the economic opportunities analysis. You will see them at some point in this process. They'll come and present some information to you likely in 2 meetings from now. We're also working with the GEOS Institute, which is a nonprofit out of Ashland, and they focus primarily on resiliency and climate change and natural hazard mitigation planning work. So we have a great expert in that field on this project as well, because natural hazards is certainly a theme that needs to be covered in the comprehensive plan. And then lastly, we're also working with the Veritas collaboration. So Karen, she's really connected to our Latino community in Clackamas County, and she's really helping us kind of extend our reach and make sure that we are reaching a more diverse community or diverse set of community members. So large team, and you'll probably meet all of them at some point. They're not going to be here at every meeting, but they'll be coming in a few months. Any questions? No. Okay. Citizen Advisory Committee. So once again, thanks for being here. You know, these committees, they often take various shapes and forms based on the projects and such. Really excited to have one that is really community led here. This is great. And so we really feel like a successful process, a successful project really needs to create a sense of ownership among the Sandy community. So we're really looking to you to kind of help us and also be champions of this project and kind of use your own networks to communicate information to the extent you can and things like that. And I'll detail a bit about what that means. And so I just mentioned the CAC will meet 8 times throughout this process. And once again, really excited that it's really represented. There's a great representation of all. So that's great.
Can I answer that real quick?
Please, yeah.
Yeah, so just for your knowledge, one of the ways that we selected members of this committee was based on a couple of diversity measures that we were interested in. So you'll notice that, you know, some folks here just moved to Sandy and some people have been here for, is that 5 generations? Yeah. So that was one of the things that we wanted to make sure is that we represent, you know, new members of our community as well as people who live here their whole lives, as well as age range. And then if you remember answering that question about what quadrant you live in.
Great. Next slide. So what will you do? Really, we're going to be looking to you all to review and comment on work products. There'll be some key deliverables that you will all be able to read and comment on and we'll be able to discuss at our meetings. You are going to help us guide public outreach and engagement efforts, act as liaisons to specific constituencies or interest groups, encourage community members to participate in the process, and as I mentioned, act as champions of the Envision Sandy 2050 process. There is a charter in the binder, and I don't think we need to spend too much time on it, but it does kind of lay out kind of, you know, roles and expectations. It's, let me just pull it, where would it be? Is it packet too? It was in the packet, right? Thank you. It's the second tab. I can't find it. It's the second tab. First tab. Lists out some charges and responsibilities, which I just had up on the screen. Something to note: the decision-making process. We're really here to make decisions. It's consensus-based decision-making. We're not here to vote. So of course, always be, you know, open, and if you disagree, be agreeable about disagreeing. But really, we are hoping to, you know, have kind of a mutually acceptable course of action when there are elements that we want to move forward on or decide upon. I think this will be like particularly pertinent when it comes to actually kind of developing goal statements and policy ideas for the comprehensive plan based on all this content that you're gonna be getting. So that's probably gonna make a lot more sense later on. And then just general ground rules for conduct and, you know, to the extent you can, like, we really appreciate you being here and if you can't make a meeting, like, you know, letting us know in advance. And if you have any questions following up with us, I know Shelley or myself, we can make ourselves available and just kind of bring you up to speed if you didn't miss a meeting. But our hope is that we can get them scheduled so that if no one needs to miss a meeting and everyone's on the same page every time we meet. But of course, we all have lives and we know that's not always possible. So we'll do our best. Does anybody have any questions about the charter? Anything like that? I don't think we need to adopt it, but just make sure we all kind of know where we're at.
So is the charter, is that in the 27-page PDF that you sent out, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, it is. I think it's gonna be the second page after the agenda in the packet. Is that correct? It's right after the agenda, I think.
Okay, let me take a look here. Sorry to interrupt. Yep, okay, yeah, I see it. Thank you.
Of course. Great. Any questions about just like general roles, responsibilities of this committee? We'll do our best to make this fun. It's going to be a combination of technical, wonky background information, but then there's also going to be an element of just working through a lot of stuff. So
I love technical wonky.
okay,
information. That's
well,
fine.
you're in the right place. But it's going to be kind of an interesting thing because we are going to be as a group oscillating between a level of getting into the details, reading technical documents, trying to understand the data, but then also working at a higher level, the 30,000-foot level of, you know, community visioning, which is pretty, it's, you know, it's high level conversations, and we're going to kind of walk through a community conversation, something that we kind of are hoping that everybody can engage in, and you'll see. So we're going to be working on a lot of like various scales of information, levels of detail of information. So I appreciate everybody's flexibility in that, and always want to make sure that people understand what we're doing, and no one's left in the dust, but also that no one's frustrated with where we're at as well. So always speak up and we can adjust as we go along.
Are you gonna bring string and glue?
I could, we could do ours, yeah.
What is that, by the way? What is that, by the way? I just-
Yeah.
I forgot mine. I have string.
Yeah, and sometimes when we talk about things, it's also easy to draw things or show things on a map. Sometimes it's great to have maps and just like build stuff. So that is something we might very well do at some point.
Okay. I'll hold you to it.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna run through, there's a second item in your agenda, it was the public involvement plan. This is something that, you know, we typically put together for any public planning process, typically has a public involvement plan. And really it's strategy for what kinds of activities that we, you know, are proposing to do through this process. What types of community members are out there or stakeholders are out there in the Sandy community that we want to make sure we know about, that we reach in some capacity, whether it's through online surveys or, you know, direct contact, things like that. So next slide. So the public involvement plan, it helps guide our public and stakeholder interactions with the intention of creating opportunities for discussion, knowledge sharing, and problem solving with community members. We use the public involvement plan to guide a lot of the community visioning. You'll see that a lot of our kind of engagement and outreach activities for this project are pretty front loaded because a lot of that outreach really makes sense in the community visioning phase. There will be continued outreach throughout the entire project, but a lot of the work or a lot of the activities that are noted in the public involvement plan are really pertinent to the community visioning phase, which is essentially this first 6 months or so. Yeah, and so next slide. A couple of objectives of the plan, and just kind of objectives we want to keep in mind as we, you know, engage with our community around some topics, some of which might be kind of difficult as we, you know, move along here, is we want to make sure we're always informing our community with timely, transparent, and accurate information. We're really striving to consult and involve the community in identifying, refining, prioritizing policy ideas or updates that are needed to guide growth and development in Sandy over the next 20 years. Here to ensure community members understand how decisions are made, feel that their concerns are heard, and know how their feedback influence decisions. We also want to partner with city and agency representatives to ensure officials are engaged in the planning process and key decisions. And then finally, we also want to reach a diversity of stakeholders who reflect Sandy's greater community by employing accessible and appropriate tools and technologies to inform and engage the community. Just some basic objectives of that public involvement plan. Key messages. The plan also includes some key messages which are kind of nice to just read through. It also gives a good sense of, you know, when we talk about this project, what are we saying about it? Like, what are the tidbits? So there's a set of key messages that, you know, feel free to use, and you'll kind of see that content replicated through all sorts of mediums, whether it's the newsletter or social media or things like that. But, you know, essentially, what is a comprehensive plan? You know, it sets out a series of goals and policies that will guide growth and development in our community over the next 20 years. We want this plan to reflect our community's priorities and their vision. And then also the city is really committed to an inclusive and transparent process. And community engagement is crucial to guide the development of this type of plan. So I don't want to bore you with all the details of the public involvement plan, but it is important, and it really is kind of our strategy document for how we want to approach this project. And as I mentioned, the public involvement plan also describes a bunch of engagement activities. Those include community conversations, which I will describe in a moment. There will be a series of community events. So you'll notice actually in the spring and summer, Shelley's going to have a booth up at a bunch of different community events around town, including the farmers market, some other things as well. Oh yeah, or for sure the mountain festival. Which one?
At the beer garden.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, you know, the whole
Mining Park on Wednesdays. We're gonna watch
yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah. So we're gonna be minding you guys for all ideas for this, but essentially the hope is that we are also at community events. People will recognize this project, they'll engage with us in all sorts of various ways. In addition, we do have an online survey that's going to launch shortly here. And that online survey is also going to mirror the type of questions we're going to be asking in the community conversations. So there's all kind of parity between all of these different outreach methods. There's also kind of a photo submission option on the webpage, the project website, that, you know, if folks want to like work on the interactive map or upload a photo of their favorite place in Sandy, we do have kind of that capability as well. So hoping to just gather photos and images of what we love about Sandy, and then also just really drive people to the project website to learn about this project, understand what we're doing, and then also know, like, how do I get engaged? I can take an online survey, I can do this community conversation, I can, you know, meet with Shelley at the farmer's market on Wednesday or what, I forgot what it is. Friday. Et cetera. And then the fourth activity is open houses. So we do have a series of open houses that will be baked into this project. That will be kind of standalone open houses, and they'll happen at the end of key milestones throughout this process. And I'll kind of walk through when those will be. But essentially, you know, we will have our first open house to view the draft community vision statement in July. So there's going to be a lot of work that's going to be going into gearing up for creating that draft vision statement and having that open house to share it back out with the community. But our timeline is to have our first one in about July or so. And then, yeah, communication tools, you know, the city staff does their best to put all this information out through a lot of different mediums. So we have a Sandy Speaks project website. I know that it is in the process of just getting tweaked with the finishing touches, but I know that the website will be live hopefully by the end of this week. When it does go live, maybe Shelley can shoot an email to the CAC and let everybody know that you can go and visit it. Is Sandy Speaks, do people have to sign up for that?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's a very simple registration
Yeah.
process, yeah.
So just do note that, is everybody already signed up for Sandy Speaks or not, or? I don't think so. Okay,
No.
okay.
We sort of soft launched it just to kind of like figure out, how we needed to tweak it. So there's a couple of projects, things that the city's working on that we're getting kind of public feedback on. But we're using the comprehensive plan as an opportunity to sort of like do a much bigger, like, launch, to get, more people involved, more people on the website, but it's sandy-speaks.org.
And it's pretty cool. The reason we're using this platform is there's a lot of features embedded in this web platform, like surveys and interactive maps and things. So this is kind of an opportunity to kind of beta drive a little bit how that website works and accessing it and engaging with all the things that are going to be available on it.
So
So
you suggest that we try it out?
Sure, yeah.
definitely, yeah. And basically everything that we're talking about here tonight will be also available on the website as well. So, yeah, meeting materials and things, we'll link there, and all kind of the opportunities for engagement and such will also be listed and described on the website as well. So, and of course, we're going to use the Sandy Source newsletter to share information about this project. And we'll have a lot of print materials. We've got some flyers that are going to be going up in businesses around town in the next month or so. And then, of course, using social media. Karen from Veritas Collaborations, she works with a woman named Nelly Rodriguez, who's kind of like the Oprah of this area. And she's got an incredible Facebook following, and she does these awesome Facebook Live events. So she's going to help us kind of spread the word in a lot of different ways. So a lot of exciting things. And of course, if anybody has additional ideas of kind of communication tools that we should use to put the word out, or events that we should make sure that we're at this spring and summer, we are all ears. Okay. I do want to move along here because I feel like I've been talking about all right, phase one, developing our vision statement. This is the community visioning phase. It's the next 6 months of work. It's basically what we're going to be doing for the next 3 meetings. So next, it'll be highly visible, interactive with the community. The purpose of all the things we're going to be doing, both staff-led, project-led, but also you, is really to understand community desires and preferences and priorities about the future of Sandy. And all of these values, all of these conversations that we are all going to have, all of the feedback we're going to get through our online survey and all of these other various methods, we are going to synthesize those into themes and big ideas. And those will essentially constitute the new vision statement for the city of Sandy, which will be the backbone of the comprehensive plan. And some of the key questions on the side, those are kind of your classic community visioning questions. We want to ask, where are we now? Where are we going? Where do we want to be? How do we get there? Who should be engaged? And how do you like to be involved? So those are kind of the cornerstone questions that we really want to be asking the community as we go out. Next slide. Okay, community conversations. So I keep saying community conversations. What is that? Essentially what they are, and you have a community conversation kit in your binder. And so what those are kind of glorified focus groups, informal conversations. They could be anything you want them to be, but essentially it is, a series of questions that we are hoping for multiple people to be able to kind of pick up this kit and understand exactly how to run through it and then host their own community conversation, however formally or informally that you would like it to be done. And so what I think I'd do is I can walk through the community conversations kit, but I would also really like to just have the community conversation and let you guys speak to these questions a bit, and kind of get the juices flowing a little. You guys have all been selected to be on the CAC for a reason. So I think that you all have some pretty valuable kind of thoughts or reflections or feedback on the questions that are listed up on the slide, but that are also included in the community conversations kit. So I kind of want to move us into just discussion And then at the end, we can talk a little bit about how we use these kits, what it means, and kind of what our marching orders are. It's 7:22. Let's give ourselves maybe like 20 minutes or so for discussion. Does that work?
I'm gonna stop screen sharing so they can see the room.
Great, yeah. So yeah, let's give ourselves about 20 minutes of discussion. And we can kind of go round robin, or if somebody wants to pipe up, you can do that too. And I will work from the discussion notes, page 6 of the Community Conversations Guide that has some questions about really basic questions. And we're really trying to get at kind of where are people coming from? What brought them here to Sandy? Why did they move here? So all of you kind of alluded to that in describing what you love about Sandy. But then thinking about like what makes this place really special and what do we need to preserve or enhance for the future? So I'm going to skip to kind of the second question first and kind of open it up for discussion if anybody wants to pipe.
We have a hand raised though.
Please, yeah.
I was just wondering if someone could forward me the PDF because I don't think I got it of what you guys are looking at.
Yeah.
And then follow up. Thank you.
On your email. Okay, so yeah, I guess the first question is what makes Sandy so special today? And what should we strive to preserve or enhance for the future? So how about it?
Talking about.
I was just trying to be nice. I think, for me, like I said, I grew up here. I've seen it. I remember before the Fred Meyer went in, and before the cinema went in and all that kind of stuff. I know that a lot of people are moving here, and I think the thing that makes Sandy special is also the thing that's, again, in my view, kind of going away with so many people moving here is it was small, it was quaint, it was, a place where everyone knew everybody in the neighborhood, things like that. And I've noticed it's getting really crowded. I know that that's kind of inevitable, but I don't know. I think that's kind of what I've noticed just in the 30 years I've been here.
Yeah, I think I agree. It scares me that, when I was like, 18, I rented a house up in Timberlake Rim, and I remember, coming down and like, it just amazes me at 8 o'clock in the morning, go out and like, I'm not even 226 yet. And like, there are people and I'm like, where are these people coming from? Like, I legitimately don't understand. And I know it surprised me. Like when the Fred Meyers got built and everything else, I think for me, like density is really important because it concerns me that there are some nice new neighborhoods right now, but they're really jammed in there. And my neighborhood has been there for 1.5 years, 2 years at this point, and it's already starting with, people not picking up after their dogs and kids roaming the neighborhood. I don't know if they're supposed to be at school. I don't know what they're supposed to be doing, but it's a random Tuesday and they're just roaming, and and they're getting into trouble too. So, there's things like that I think density maybe, but also, one of the big reasons why I moved here was the livability of it and being close enough to downtown that you can actually have a sidewalk all the way there, but you're also far enough out that you're able to be close to the mountain and all of those things and still have really good internet access, because that was a huge deal breaker for me. Right, web development, digital marketing, and I have to have access. So I think it's really important, for a lot of people who moved out here, that allows them to live this far out and create that economic base to provide all these services.
I will say, I just want to piggyback off of that really quick, just because during the fires, I was kind of helping with Les Schwab at the little thing that they had over there. Getting people out of Sandy and staying back here and kind of helping all of that kind of stuff. And I live with him off of 211. And it took me 2 hours to get from 211 to Fred Meyer, just because of how many people were coming through Eagle Creek, who already live in Sandy, coming through Estacada. And so like, yeah, the quaintness is definitely one of my concerns, but the other thing is just like, what if that fire was actually on our doorstep and we don't have the roads or the infrastructure or anything like that to get out of here? And I don't see us buying up property and expanding these into 4 lanes anytime soon. So like how, yeah, like how do we, I mean, I'm just thinking from purely an emergency standpoint, like how do we get the flow of traffic of people that need to get out of town when something bad happens, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of my concern with growth.
Yeah, we're just Snowberry.
Yeah.
I mean, we're less than a mile to,
Yeah, it's normally a 5-minute drive.
yeah.
So
But
that sounds like what you would like to kind of change in the future or what can improve. So
Sure.
that's good. So
Well, I guess that's an improving thing, but I'm thinking more of a maintain, like a.
Yeah,
keep
preserving.
Preserving
preserving.
what has always been, yeah.
Great. Yeah, please.
So, you know, what I think makes Sandy special is that I literally, everywhere I go, I know people, right? I mean, you run into people, it's a community. And it's a pretty small community, you know, overall, it's a kind of crazy how many people you see. So that, I think, you know, I don't know how you do that with
Sense of
both,
community.
but that sense of community is really important. And I think it, you know, it has to be preserved. You know, I definitely think that when, you know, similar to what they're saying, I think when you grow, if you don't have the infrastructure in place to sustain the growth, then you got nothing but problems. And I look at a lot of cities around, like I work in transportation, okay, that's what I do. We build all kinds of transportation things, and you can see it, like look at Sherwood, you know, they're out there, you're in this 2-lane of traffic, just car to car, every single day, you know, back and forth to work. We don't want to do that, right? And there's really, you don't have to. We've got a good opportunity here to make sure that whatever goes into place in Sandy, that there's, you know, adequate, I guess, you know, infrastructure in place to support that.
That's great.
And to keep it a community and keep it, you know, fun and
Yeah.
it's a nice community.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, like growing up between areas has been really great. You just know that the community aspect, and I think you can cultivate growth, but also have responsible growth, obviously. And that's a big reason why I wanted to take part in this committee, is because navigating that as a community doesn't, you know, we don't get very many opportunities. I mean, if you look at when the previous one was done, you know, having that aspect, also creating a transparency with our local, like governing agencies, which I think that's my change that I would like to see, is a lot more transparency, because it just kind of happens, you know, and within, it could be live streamed, people can watch it, but still the reach is pretty low. If we have a community of 11,000 and only 500 people are, and that's like a stretch, 500 people participating or having any idea, we're not actually getting feedback from the community. So I would love to see kind of that while preserving, like, hey, you know, hey Shelly, how are you? I'm glad I ran into you at Freddy's today.
That
Or-
works together too,
Yeah.
you know, like you have that community engagement, and then you also have that means relationship building as well.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
So I think you can cultivate growth.
Yeah.
But have it as a responsible.
What, I mean, that's a really good question too. I mean, what is the expected response or involvement rate or whatever you guys want to frame it as? Like, I mean, what is a realistic percentage of the current population that would participate or that we're expecting to participate?
We haven't set any benchmarks, and we're gonna all do our best, and I can't speak for Shelley or Kelly or how these have gone in the past, but yeah, I mean, it's really gonna just come down to how many people come see us at the farmer's market and how many community conversations we can do and things like that. these are not statistically valid surveys or things like that. But we're really gonna kind of lean on you guys to help like push this message out and do that. So
I'm big into goals, so I'm
Yeah.
just saying,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
is
yeah.
there like an industry like average of like
There is not.
our
There is-
town
there is not.
size?
There is not.
Historically, it's probably about 5%.
Yeah.
But
There's no-
it might be different.
there's no gold standard. It differs all the time. It's usually, not huge. So
Is there, I mean, is there any, like, from city council, I mean, is there any kind of expectation of involvement?
Well, you always want, I mean, as has been previously stated, I mean, pre-COVID, Sandy, we were the second fastest, the fifth fastest, who you listen to, growing community in the entire state. Our population was expected to be, Portland State's, they thought we'd be at, that 11,200, where we're 12,600. So, that kind of tells you the growth and as all of you live in this community, so you can see all the development and everything that's going on. It's not slowing down, or at least it certainly doesn't look like it. So, obviously we want to get as many people involved as possible. And I think, the outreach has been, really good so far. And I think it will be continued. Unfortunately, as you all know, so you're nodding your head, you work in transportation. So people don't like to participate in a lot of things. And so, our goal then is just to reach out as much as possible and try and get as much involvement. And that's where, like she's saying, that you guys are gonna come in because each of you run in different circles. So you have different people that you interact with and come in contact with to live in the community. And so the more you outreach, the better the outcome's gonna be.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, we're really prioritizing meeting people where they are. And so instead of saying, we're just having these open houses, or we just have this website and requiring people to like go outside of their comfort zone to participate, we're really prioritizing going to community events, going to places people already feel comfortable and engaging with them that way. I'll also add that on either Friday or Saturday of next week, every mailbox in the city is going to get a postcard, just saying like, you're invited to participate in our comprehensive plan process. Here's the website that you go to. So it is an unfortunate truth that a lot of times it is hard to get really good cross-sectional representative high-level engagement from a lot of community members, but we're certainly prioritizing ways to get as much as we can.
I just want to keep us on track. It's 7:35, and you'll notice that it's easy to talk about a lot of different things, right? So I do want to just maybe bring us, if there's anybody online that wanted to share or pipe in about just kind of what you think makes Sandy special, what you want to preserve or enhance, or kind of whatever things you would like to change or improve in the future.
Yeah, I can go ahead, but if someone else wants to go first, I don't mind either.
Or yours.
Okay, yes, I'm just going back to the things that we have here. So why did I choose to live or work in Sandy? For me, it was like having things like Meinig Park, and then also like the food carts, like things that they do have in the big city, but at the same time, like since this is kind of like a small town type deal, like you don't have to worry about some of those problems that are in the big cities, like Portland and that nature. And like for me, probably the two things, maybe three things that are the most important for the future, like when we get to 2050, it's probably like, people have talked about roads, like making sure that those grow, but not just like, overtake kind of like that small town, like, what is it? Nature feel, and then just, making sure that we think about, education and then just like about the future for our kids and, you know, all of the other people's kids that will be coming here as well.
One of the favorite things that we do is, and that I love about Sandy, is the walkability downtown. My son and I love to go to the library and stop and have donuts and coffee and all those different things and play at the park. And to me, that's a big piece of Sandy. That's part of continuing to have that community and that space and that closeness where we see people we know and, you know, get to be involved and right there in that Main Street hometown type feel. And that's something that we've always enjoyed.
Anybody else online want to share anything, or anybody in the room?
There's a couple more hands raised. So.
Oh,
Amanda.
Thanks. I think we all kind of have the same feeling. We want to keep the beauty of Sandy and figure out some way to grow while maintaining that beauty and the places in Sandy that we all enjoy and love. And I think that's my favorite thing about Sandy is how pretty it is. And I worry because I've lived in small cities that have gone out of control with growth and all that beauty was lost. And I don't want to see that happen to Sandy. So that's probably the thing I would like to preserve is just the beauty.
Thanks, Amanda.
There's Shelby also.
Yeah, just echoing some of the sentiments other folks have shared. One thing that I don't know if I've heard, I missed a second here, but the safety of Sandy was something that really drew us here. We have a 1-year-old daughter, and so considering where we wanted to live, that was something that really was very forefront in my mind. The community we want to raise our daughter in. I grew up just on the other side of Mount Hood in Maupin, Oregon. So small town is something that was really important to me, and I wanted to have the access to the amenities of a bigger city, but then have a community that's the right size that feels like I can still meet and connect with other people and have genuine connections with folks and see some of the same folks day to day. So that's something that I hope gets preserved as Sandy grows. And then affordability of housing is something that's just passionate to me personally, that I see is changing a lot in the metro area. And I hope that's something that Sandy can somehow preserve for folks that work here and live here, so that people can continue to afford to live where they work and be connected and engaged in the community where they are at. So.
Thanks, Shelby. Anyone else?
I know, I already did.
Okay.
Something that I would like to see is, we're at a really unique space. We're a major roadway to, Central Oregon. A lot of people stop here at the food carts, at restaurants, cultivating a better business development. Because up until there's a reason why I haven't moved my business to Sandy. And that is a really, if I was able to just drive 5 minutes from my house every day, I would love to, but instead I'm driving, 35 minutes into town. And so changing just the ways of, running commercial property is really difficult to navigate in Sandy, especially for new builds and development. But also just attracting awesome businesses as well. So.
Maya, do you have anything to add? I don't mean to pick on.
I guess the biggest thing, I was looking over the PDF file earlier, the biggest thing, which I don't know, I think Amanda kind of touched on, was just there was a lot of, not just greenery, but we have to,
Yeah.
And that when Sandy grows is kind of a big thing. A lot of people moved here for that, and they don't want their kids to grow up and not have it. We don't really want Sandy to become we kind of talked about that already, but that was the biggest thing. I'm not
It's
sure.
trails and parks and
Yeah.
kind of access to the
And
national
also
forest.
keeping those clean. A lot of the time when you want to go on a hike, there's garbage everywhere. Especially after the fires. My mom goes on hikes all the time. Just after the fires and everything and all the trails are closing down, but there's so much more garbage. There's that's kind of gonna. in some way.
So preserving cleanliness, access to all of
We
it.
could do background checks on anybody who wants to meet the same.
Yeah, there we go.
No?
Okay, I want to keep us on.
I like it.
I like it.
We like it.
It's 7:42 and I kind of want to wrap us up and then talk a little bit about the logistics of this community conversations kit that's in your binder. Kelly, can you remind us, do we have any public comment this evening? Want to make a formal?
We have one attendee. It's a city council member. I don't know if that person wants to speak or not.
Okay, we'll get to that in a moment. I'm
That's,
just thinking
that's the
about
only
her.
attendee. I've had a few people become attendees when their internet's gone down, but then I promoted them back to panelists. So
Got
that's the only person right now.
Okay, I just want to be mindful of time and if we do need to put aside time for public comment, but it sounds like.
I would put aside maybe 3 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. So quickly, this is kind of gonna meld into next steps. But essentially you have this community conversations kit in your binder that hopefully is very clear about what it is. But essentially it's a meeting in a box. And it's meant for anyone to download, pick up, take with them and host their own community conversations, similar to what we just did. So it tells you kind of how to prepare for one. You know, if you're gonna do a phone interview, or if you're gonna have a conversation with your neighbors, or let's say you're part of the PTA, or you're on a, you know, in some sort of club that has maybe a regular standing meeting once a month or so, or you meet with them regularly and you can get on an agenda or meet with them informally, whatever it is, club, group, organization, family, friends, committee, whatever you're part of. Essentially use this conversations kit to host an open-ended discussion to just get at these ideas, like what are the things that people love about Sandy? You know, talking to your family and friends about what do we want to see in the future, what do we want to preserve, what do we want to change or improve. So in this kit, there's a checklist of just things to be thinking about when you're going to host a community conversation, or you know, a conversation, it doesn't have to be that formal. A presenter's guide, so like how to do it, you know, how, you know, what kind of language might you use to introduce the topic or the project. And then, you know, the timing of everything. So let's say you have half an hour, you can of course adjust, or if you have a full hour on an agenda, or you've got a lot of time with someone, you can always adjust. Some just general discussion, leader tips and principles for how to facilitate discussion. People probably have lots of different ideas, maybe they compete with one another, but just kind of helpful tips on how to facilitate a conversation. There's also this page on community visioning questions in general, and you see the bolded questions are kind of what's included in that discussion notes on the opposite page. But then you'll see a bunch of bullets, and those are actually just additional prompts. There's various ways to ask these questions, right? You know, you can, what makes Sandy special today could also be what are some of Sandy's most cherished attributes, things like that. So there's various prompts. Of course, read your audience, whatever speaks to people most is helpful, but that's really just to help you. And then there's this page on discussion notes where we kind of pulled out some of the major community vision questions that we want to have. And these questions also mirror the online survey that's going to be on the project website, so they are one-to-one. So someone can totally take an online survey, they can also have a conversation, they can do both. But they are one-to-one, so it all follows it. And then there's also a sign-in sheet. It's really nice to be able to keep track of how many people do you talk to? Is there anybody that wants to sign up for the project email list? You know, things like that. So our hope is, as CEC members, you guys are all connected in various ways to various groups. You have friends or family members that live in Sandy or something, and if not, we can certainly help. But our hope is that everyone volunteers. You don't have to, but everyone volunteers to do one or more community conversations. And we have lots of ideas of kind of groups and committees that we would love to talk to. If you pull up the next slide, you know, these are just like kind of general categories of like, you know, where there might be clubs or groups or committees that you might be personally connected to. But we're really hoping to just kind of reach all corners of the Sandy community and kind of are hoping to rely on your own networks to the extent that you might have them, to be able to host a community conversation. So they are meant for you to kind of do on your own. If you want support, I think between the three of us, we could certainly help. But it doesn't, it's fairly high level and it doesn't need any level of expertise to talk about. We're really, it's all about just unearthing these priorities and these aspirations and these kind of, things that we might be worried about, but kind of getting at that sort of conversation. So yeah, our hope is that in the next couple of months, it doesn't have to be in the next week or two, everyone can host a community conversation. We will also support by doing a couple of our own. If you can do more than one, that would be awesome. But certainly you'll need. Yeah, and so I guess, please.
I have a question. So how are you capturing these comments and,
Great.
Distilling it into something that's useful?
Yeah, great comment. Whoa, great question. So after any community conversation, we're gonna rely on you guys to take notes.
Okay.
And so there's a couple of ways in the kit, it tells you how, what to do with these notes. You'll want to, you can either email them directly to Shelley. You could also enter them into the online survey that's on the project website. At the end of the online survey, there'll be a little checkbox where you can mark if it's a community conversation and then enter the details of, what's the name of the group and how many people did you talk to? And, is there anybody that wants to sign up for the project email list? And you can enter that in. So you can email it as a Word document or an email directly to Shelley, or you can do it online.
So are you mainly looking for email addresses to participate in capturing email addresses? Or are you looking for capturing these questions that you're answering?
Capturing these questions specifically, and then of course, anybody that you are talking to, if they want to sign up for the project email list, they can do that as well, and you can share that information with us. Gotcha. Yeah. So yeah, that is kind of like our ask. We know that not everyone's feeling hyper connected to a lot of different groups. So we're happy to kind of help facilitate. If somebody wants to sign up for something, we can help facilitate that. I did put together kind of a tracking log. I think, yeah, I don't know. I'll share it out. But a tracking log where we can kind of start identifying various groups, and maybe if they meet monthly, we can start getting on their agendas and carve out 20 minutes with them and essentially host this conversation. If they're, Amaya, if you're a part of a club at school, we're happy to help you as well, kind of navigate that. But yeah, so as little support or as much support as you need, we're here to help with that. Our hope is that it's easier if multiple people do one rather than one person do 20. So that's our hope, and I'll leave it at that. Does anybody have any kind of immediate reflections or ideas of groups that they are connected to and want to talk to?
I have a really quick
Yeah.
question. So the one group that I totally don't see listed on there, which I find odd, is realtors. Is that no, I mean, if they're just talking to people who are either leaving or coming, so is that a no-no, or is that covered already by something that you guys do, or?
No, I mean, if there is there a realtor association or group?
Well, I
in
mean, there's
Sandy?
EMAR, but I mean, it's East Metro. I mean, it's not just.
Yeah.
I think there's the commerce or.
Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, there's the
Yeah.
the chambers on there, yeah.
Totally,
Yeah, the chambers.
I think it was just an oversight.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you know real estate, people
Okay.
in real estate that you'd like to speak to about it, I think that'd be a great perspective.
The Rotary Club, things like that. Is there, anybody that works at the senior center or?
Is that even open?
Yeah,
They
it's
open it
open.
back up?
Yeah.
Somebody was talking about online.
I saw on the community page today, the information wasn't necessarily accurate, so.
Yeah.
How do you
Not much of
Any
that.
information
Imagine
not
that.
accurate?
Right, you don't, exactly, yeah, that's true.
We have 2 hands raised also
Please.
on the virtual attendees. Shelby, you're up first.
Well, I was just gonna say, I have lots of meeting facilitation experience, but less Sandy community connections. So if anybody on the committee wants to partner up, I'd be happy to partner up. You bring the people, I'll bring the presentation skills. I do have enough folks in my network that I could probably get like one meeting of good insight, but it's like my daycare provider and maybe a couple other parents there, and a couple friends in town. So we haven't met a ton of people yet, but I would love to help out however I can with this process.
That's great, Shelby. I really appreciate you kind of helping with the facilitation. And remember, it's not a presentation and it doesn't have to be a standalone meeting, so it can be as formal or as informal as you want. It's more just like, help us gather this kind of feedback and through whatever means is available to you. But that's great. Thanks, Shelby. We might lean on you to help us at things like, I'm thinking the Chamber of Commerce would be a great kind of community conversation to host. And if you have interest in helping us with that, that would be great.
I was
So
gonna say, if you want to talk about business stuff in Sandy, that would be the Chamber of Commerce would be great too.
yeah, are there other groups or clubs that you're aware of that meet regularly?
There's actually, I'm also active in the Gresham Chamber of Commerce, which
Yeah.
are a lot of Sandy residents.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So there's like a cohesiveness that the chambers can kind of.
And
get
then there's one other one too. The lender building, or what do they call that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah,
and there's a lot of groups up there.
Yeah, I mean, so I think, to the extent that we can focus our efforts on like Sandy specific groups and clubs and committees, that'd be great.
okay.
Right, would you say so?
I would say
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when we're, okay,
About like, whippersnappers,
That'd be great. But
That would be awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu dojos, there's a couple in town, karate. A lot of parents have kids that go there.
Yeah,
I mean, a
that's
lot of-
awesome. Those are good ideas.
Omar and Amanda both have their hands raised still.
Please.
Yeah, so just kind of piggyback off what Shelby said. One thing that I would love to do is, and I'm not sure if this is something other people want to do, but I would love to get like a like group of us together, or like what is it, email list. So like we can talk about maybe trying to form some things where maybe it's not just one of us, doing a convo. Maybe it's like a group of us, anywhere from 2 to 4, trying to like think of a good idea to, like reach out to the community and also just talk to each other about some of these ideas.
Idea, and if everybody's okay with us sharing your email addresses with the group, we can certainly kind of facilitate that. For example, we can create kind of a Google tracking log and identify some ideas, and then people can sign up for it. And then we can kind of just follow up with everyone, make sure they know what they're doing and what time it is and stuff. So we can certainly facilitate that. Thank you, Omar.
Amanda, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm pretty active on all the different Facebook pages in Sandy, so I would be willing to reach out and see if there was some way I could host like a Facebook Live or something along that for all the community that is on that, because there is a lot.
That's great. Thanks, Amanda. That's fun. Amaya, did you read?
Yeah, since I kind of mentioned earlier, I run an equity group.
Yeah.
I could like have the survey and like post it, because that gets a lot of like especially high school students and also specifically like underrepresented like LGBTQ plus or students of color specifically. With those voices be very important in getting this. I assume so.
Yes.
But should I like find the survey? Can I get it from one of you guys or just create like a Google survey and like?
We're gonna give you everything you need. You don't have to create anything.
Okay.
Do you guys meet in person?
Not as much because of COVID. Like the staff itself, yes, we all go to school together pretty much and we like have our texting and all that
Yeah.
stuff, but we have events every so often.
Great.
So I can kind of like.
Okay,
put something
we'll
out
work with
there.
you to help set something up, whether it's virtually or maybe in person at school.
And I could also like something super easy that people probably see as like, oh, an Instagram story with the link.
Yeah, definitely.
Because
So
that would
yeah,
get a lot of.
there's
like,
not
city-
only is there community conversations, but once this online survey goes live, that's also something that you can easily share, among your own network. So, are there any more
I
questions?
did have
on-
a question. Is Veritas making one in Spanish
Yes.
available? Okay,
Yes,
perfect.
they are. We
That's what I
also
thought
have-
the answer was.
Yeah, some Spanish language social media posts as well. Yes.
I was just gonna say I'm gonna throw it out there if you like it. I love working on a community aspect like at markets.
Yeah.
So if you need like art installations, anything like that, that's like my love.
Okay.
I'm really excited about this kit situation
Yeah,
happening,
yeah.
so yeah. I'm
Great.
all for it.
Excellent. I do want to be mindful of people's time. It's 7:57. Is there any public comment?
I was just gonna say really quick, I'm plugged in with a lot of the churches in the area. too,
Yes.
That'd be
so
great.
I'll reach out to everybody then.
Thank you. Yes.
Do you have a,
I know.
with all the teachers? I know that you know all the teachers.
Yeah, Renee, I mean, even.
We have an advisory class that would
Yeah.
be great to have.
That
It's a
would
small
also
one.
be-
Because I don't have to be in the conversation, right? I can facilitate.
Totally, yeah, absolutely.
And do you have any in on advisory lessons, like what? we
Yeah,
should
that's
do?
what I'll see if I can get it. And
So-
then I would also hope the kids we can encourage them to bring their
Yes,
parents.
yes, absolutely. So we will set up this tracking log. We'll start populating ideas of groups that we would love to reach out to that are from this conversation and some of our ideas. So if you're looking to do one, you can sign up for it or you can kind of add your own. So that the hope is that we can, each do one or two over the next 3 months or so or more, probably through June or so, or sorry, July. So we have time. But let's see, I
Was it-
want to keep us in track.
So I was gonna say if, we do have one person attending that's not a panelist, so I don't know if Counselor Walker wants to say anything, this is the opportunity, you would have to raise your hand. And then what I was also gonna say is it's gonna take us a little while to break down the room and everything, and I only live like a mile away, so if anybody wants to connect with each other and talk for a few minutes, feel free to do that. It's not like everybody has to rush out the minute the meeting ends.
Yeah.
So.
Do we know when our next meeting is?
We do, yeah. I want to give those details after it's public comment. Can we open it?
I don't see any hands raised, so
Okay.
yeah, I think we're good.
Okay, public comment opened and then it closed.
It's not that,
For the
oh, nope,
books.
she did raise her hand,
Okay, okay.
sorry. I promoted you to a panelist, so you can speak.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, hi. I don't really have any comments. I just wanted to thank everybody for participating, and I'm looking forward to meeting you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so before we officially adjourn, because I want to keep everybody on time here, a couple of housekeeping items. So the next meeting we are looking to have in May, and we are currently slated for May 11th. It's a Wednesday evening. This time, we hope is preferable. We know everybody's got jobs and
6:30.
things. Yeah, 6:30. So May 11th, 6:30. We're hoping to potentially move to the library for that meeting. It's just a little bit better with space. So keep your eyes peeled for that kind of change of location. But yeah, May 11th, you'll get packet materials a week in advance. And then after that, your third space meeting will likely be at some point in July, but we haven't yet figured out exactly when. It'll kind of depend on how things are going over the next couple of months.
Are you planning on all the meetings being on Wednesday? It's kind of a.
So that can be up for discussion. It's usually the day where there are the fewest number of committee, city council, planning commission meetings.
At least amount of city meetings on Wednesdays. so-
Yeah.
Besides Thursday or Friday, but nobody wants to meet that late in the week.
I would put my resignation in. Friday night meetings.
And let us know, Maya, if there's anything in particular or any major things that are hard for you on that day. Because we could also look at school, certainly, yeah, of course, very valid. Yeah. Okay, and then I think there was one more item about the housing snapshot.
Yeah, the housing snapshot, also the follow-up email.
Yeah.
Let's, and explain to everybody what that is.
Yeah. there's a lot of other work happening and we're gonna try and get your ideas for another piece of, or another exercise we're doing. But yeah, Shelley will follow up.
And then I do want to say we posted the PowerPoint that was presented tonight. Sandy Speaks already. I believe Jeff did that. And we'll send out an update for Sandy Speaks once it's
Yeah,
launched
yeah.
in the next
So,
days.
right, so everybody watch out for a couple of emails about the website, about the community conversations tracking log and getting connected. And then just, yeah, come prepared on May 11th. You're gonna get a packet with a lot of background reports, and a lot of kind of content to review and sift through. So we'll have a conversation about data. And trends and forecasts and things like that. So, yeah. Okay.
I need to speed it up a little.
Thank you all who joined us online. I'm sorry about the hybrid format. It's always a little tricky to navigate, but I hope it was okay for everyone. We see you. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Have a great
Thanks,
evening.
everybody.
Okay,
Okay, I'm ending.
Ready, break.
break.